The pace at which you are breaking ground on data centers, I think, is unprecedented. I haven't seen it in any data center company in the world right now. You've broken ground, I think, on 7 centers at the moment. And I think what's interesting is the territories that you're moving into.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you again. Indeed, I think our pace is a little bit frenetic, and it feels that way a little bit. But it is the consequence of everything that we've been doing over the last 5 years. Although we started in Uganda and built our facility there, we were preparing the ground both in the markets and also organizationally and structurally to be able to deliver what we're doing today. It is indeed a slightly different strategy and approach to, I think, many of the other players. We're looking at Africa kind of as a whole. And I think when you look at metrics and dynamics, there's this kind of next level down or tier 2 markets that were clearly underserved and that other people were not addressing. That's not to say that, kind of where we are today, I think a kind of much bigger company, deeper pockets, good shareholders, good lenders, that we'll not start to look at some of the markets that we had not initially looked at. But I think it's just a question of timing, priorities and direction at a certain moment in time.
Are you facing certain challenges with connectivity because they are tier 2 markets?
Each market is different, right? It's kind of case by case. In a couple of our markets, yes, connectivity can be a little bit more challenging. But I think if you look at our portfolio, we now have a few coastal markets as well. So Côte d'Ivoire, DRC is sort of technically coastal as well, Angola and Mozambique. And there, of course, we have the new cables that are coming in, a lot of investments going into terrestrial infrastructure, both metro and I think longer distance fiber. Digital infrastructure industry on the continent is developing kind of concurrently, right? And you can't kind of wait for one single piece to be in place before you start moving with others. I think there's an overall realization of the needs of these markets in terms of digital infrastructure. And I think every player has their part to play, both from a fiber perspective.
You mentioned your shareholders, and one of their strategies is to always have positive impacts in the environments that they're investing in.
It's something that, from early days, it was clear that we had to kind of bake into our thinking, bake into our strategy, and actually make one of our strategic pillars. And that's, proven to be the right direction, and not just from a feel-good factor, but also I think when you look at commercially what customers are looking for as well. I think the environmental impact that you're making is important. The big loan package that we just raised is a sustainability-linked loan with very real economic benefits or financial benefits for us if we meet certain ESG targets. And so I think we look at impact, not just from an environmental perspective, but from a broader sense. We've brought in a head of ESG or HSSE to make sure that as a company we're structurally set up to be able to meet all those requirements. And I think in terms of impact, we've always said from the beginning, data centers are a key catalyst of the digital economy in all of these countries. And I think we're seeing that already in Uganda. A lot of our clients are directly or indirectly SMEs, entrepreneurs who are starting up small tech firms delivering local cloud services. So I think it's a very vibrant digital economy that we're helping to create and or support.
Are you finding that it is challenging to find skill set?
We've built very strong data center competence at group level. We do find talent in the market, but there's some upskilling that needs to be done because the kind of facilities that we're building do not exist in those markets. And I think it's the advantage of having a platform, right, where we can have a strong expertise at group level, which can be shared and spread across our portfolio. And then we're seeing kind of cross-fertilization between our portfolio companies, which are kind of in different stages of development. So when you have a VP technology in Uganda, for instance, who's been at it for a couple of years, knows all the perils and can share that wisdom with his counterpart in Ethiopia.
I mentioned earlier the pace at which you guys are developing. Obviously, we're all aware of these supply chain issues that we're facing globally. Have you also been hit with such issues? Is there a way that you've managed to navigate around this?
I would say yes, to some extent. You can't shield yourself from all of these sort of macro developments, but you can do it as much as you can. And I think what we've done is developed strong relationships with our supply chain partners, with the contractors that we work with, and actually seeing through to the OEMs, making sure that we have production slots that, from a procurement, you look at the manufacturing times, the shipping times, and making sure that everything aligns with the project schedule. But it's like everything else in our business, it's really about building a relation with the right counterparties and making sure that they're there to deliver when we need to. But yeah, I think things are taking a little bit longer. Programs have been pushed out to some extent because of the shortage. We're seeing a little bit of an easing in that respect, and at least for certain parts of the equipment portfolio. But look, I think it's something that we try to manage best we can, and I don't think it's something that's really preventing us from delivering what we need to deliver.